Okay, I'm going to do a test grind on this Harig Super 612 just to check out its health, just to see how it's doing. I haven't used this grinder in a decade. It's been stored. As I remember, it was working pretty good. Well, I'll show you some of the things that I do to prepare my grinder. You prepare your grinder the way you want to, but I'll show you what I do on this. Now, this has a rack and pinion feed here. Okay. So what I have done is, you can see that there's some lubriplate there. It's that white lithium grease. And with a red-handled vintage snap-on screwdriver, you scoop up some of that. Hold on, get it so you get a better vision, and just like smear it into that rack, right? I've been smearing it in a little bit, running it back and forth, smearing a little bit more, and again. Now the reason I'm doing this is it helps prevent the teeth on that rack from showing up as a pattern on the work. It feels a lot smoother already. Yeah, nice and goopy. Okay, I'm going to take a look on the other side, see what it looks like. Can't see the rack at all on that side. Okay, got the oil up. And it feels lubed good. Okay. Now I got the parallels, I cut them in half. Well, now they're a pair of parallels. It's more like a cast iron material, but I'm going to try to affect the best grind I can on it, and just to check the grinder. Okay, otherwise this is just a scrap piece of stuff, and it might be useful. Okay. Now before I start the spindle, I'm going to get the chuck engaged, make sure those things are on there. Now the previous owner of this company, sent something off the chuck and it put a hole in this and they had to repair it. So you want to be sure stuff's fastened down. It'll kind of act like a table saw. Okay. Get it going. Okay, now I always use this as a wet grinder mostly, and I'm going to grind this dry. See if I can bring it down. I don't know where's a good spot. Maybe that'll work. I assume these are fairly level. I haven't done much inspection on them. Now I took those precision ground stones and checked out the chuck and worked over these, so make sure that these sat flat enough on the chuck here. Otherwise I would set this on some paper. Just drop it down. It looks like I'm on. Okay, I want to see if we can go across that. Yeah, it looks okay. Now this is just kind of a piece of support equipment for me. And it's been very handy, like the cutter grinder. Yeah, I don't like the finish I'm getting just yet. But it is improved over what there was. Hope you can see that okay. I'll move the camera closer so you can kind of get an idea of what it's looking like. The old spindle's a little noisier than I remembered. Well, we'll just see what happens here. I've noticed quite a few of these grinders on HGR. They look like a complete one for just a few $100s. But, you know, I'm not sure of these if they have like the Teflon ways, if they're worn, if they can be repaired. They made them with ball ways. Now this one's just got the plain ways. It's not heating up. I doubt if that's a 1/1000th and a half depth. Yeah, that's cast. It looks like one is substantially lower than the other. Or one end of it was, wasn't it? Okay, so I'm going to come back. We'll just have a quick look at this one here. Without dressing the wheel, I'm going to drop it 1/1000th. You know, this is pretty tedious. There's a lot to be said for hydraulic feeds. I guess you could say a small grinder like this is better than not having one at all. It is relaxing in an odd sort of way. Now, you could use these as a tool and cutter grinder in a lot of ways, but this one I think is just a little small for that. To squeeze stuff on it. Yeah, that spindle's a little bit louder. I'm going to probably have to put bearings in it eventually. You have to figure, oh man, at the latest 1980 this thing is. So the spindle grease is over 40 years old. I don't know if you know it, but precision bearing grease has a shelf life of 5 years. If you can get anything over 20 years on a greased bearing, it's good. So I'll probably be putting a set of bearings in this. Now what's going in to the right of this machine is the Sunnin 1600 horizontal hone. I'll probably have to do a little bit of working around on stuff down here. Just about on the end of this. Okay, we'll have a look at this, and I'll come back when I get a lot more of this done. I don't like the finish too much, but it's a lot better than what it was. I may try some different wheels and a different dress on that wheel even. Okay, I'll be back here. Okay, this is the first side. I went back over it and gave it a 0.5 down fade. Before I did that, I dressed the wheel again. So that's pretty good. I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. Then we'll test, see how flat they are. Okay, lock the chuck and get ready to go again. Here's the on button. Yeah, it's not too loud. It seems to be quieting down just a little bit. The oil is up in the glass. I hope you're all doing well today. I was supposed to do this yesterday, but what happened was the sun come out and Chloe wanted to go for a walk. And one thing led to another. And we just stayed outside almost all day yesterday. Let me get this down here. Get a pretty good view of it. Okay, I'm going to touch off on this. This is the last side. And we'll see how it goes. I got a dresser over here. I dressed the wheel and kind of gave a little finish grind on the other side, so we'll just start hogging it off from this side. Hogging it off, not much of a machine for that, that's for sure. Let's see what we got here over this way. I set this to 0 up here, which really helps. That's it. Okay. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to give about a half turn on this cross feed, which I guess is about 50 thousandths. Let me see here. Something like that. There's 25. If you're going to do some serious grinding, I would strongly suggest one with automatic feed. Because my left arm's getting a pretty good workout here. But, you know, for the grinding I do or have been doing, this worked out just fine. You know, it's very compact and, you know, you don't have the complications of a more sophisticated grinder to worry about. And it does a reasonable job. I'm getting kind of anxious to see, to put these on the surface plate and see how they are. It's really nice to grind them on a grinder because you're going to get them both the same height. Which is another issue here is right now, before I started grinding, they're 1.96. So I'm not going to grind them to a specific size. I'll just grind them to preserve them as something to use as to prop things up on the milling machine, most likely. All right. Yeah, this is cleaning them up nice here. All right. I tell you, having flood cooling on is so much better for just everything. But doing it dry is alright too. Now when I was grinding the other side, I had to pause to let it cool down. I was getting one that was dipping a little bit in the middle. And when I let it cool down, it started grinding evenly again. Sometimes to get things absolutely true, you have to grind the first side a second time. When you're grinding, you are actually work hardening the surface to a degree, not as much as lapping, but that will distort the part. That's why you can't successfully surface grind hand planes, because their cross section is too complicated and they warp. Okay, we'll see how that is. Oh, I'm going to get a little bit more, another feed in here. Okay, I'm going to dress the wheel. Get a little bit away from the wheel, but I think I'll be okay. Oh shit. I know what I did. I didn't set it to 0 again. Okay. This is the first time I used a surface grinder in 10 years. See if I can get it come on. There we are. Okay, give it that much. That's quite a grass there. Okay. Now go back up. Now I'm going to touch the sides of the wheels with this stick, just barely. At about a 45 angle to the edge. And it takes off that loose stuff. And it'll help with finish a little bit. Okay, crank her back. And down we go. Yeah, this material wants to clog the wheel pretty much. I need better light back here, that's for sure. See all the stuff I gotta do? Okay, how we look there. Crank her over a little more. Crank her this way. Just touch it. There it is. Okay. That's probably about a 0.5 thousandth. I'm just giving it quarter turns here. Yeah, it's 100 thousandths per turn, so I'm feeding it 25 thousandths in. Now there's different ways of doing grinds, but I find with this grinder, this is the method I like best and seem to get the best results. You know, you can cut deeper and feed finer, cross feed finer. There's just all ways to do things, and the right way is the way that works for you. This is a nice compliment to the tool and cutter grinder too, because I'm always trying to do things on that I should be doing on this. And that finish is looking pretty good. Yeah. It seems to me the vintage of this grinder is 1979. And I mentioned before, this is the very plain entry-level one with plain cast iron ways, where the options are Teflon and ball bearing or ball ways. And it has the rack and pinion feed, where the alternatives are cable, of all things. That would be wouldn't leave those teeth marks. But I find just, you know, packing the rack with some lubriplate, don't have that problem. I'll do this every day and my left arm will be like Popeye. I've gotten all kinds of injuries off machine tools, particularly Bridgeport. Gonna get Bridgeport elbow from working the knee. and Bridgeport shoulder from the drawbar. I don't know, maybe you get Harig Super 612 wrist or something. Too much of this stuff. I'm banging into the tripod here. Let's move that a little bit. Ah, yeah, that's looking pretty good. I think the spindle's quieting down a little bit. Now, I mentioned in an earlier video, whenever I could, I'd come by this grinder down here and turn the spindle, try to, keep the grease on the balls. And so the balls don't end up vibrating through the grease and Brunelling the races. That's in bearing books. If I have to do a bearing replacement, it's not hard in this type of grinder. But the one thing you want to remember is that replacement bearings will have high spot marks. And when you take this spindle apart, you'll want to mark the spindle housing and the spindle itself where those high point marks were. And your replacement bearings, you put the high points at those same locations. And that way you'll have a better chance of a true running spindle. Because the errors in those bearings is basically the same. So you'll be within a few millionths rather than the full error in the bearing, if that makes any sense. Okay, this is looking good. So there's this college not far from here, just blocks. They own the hospital across the street. I think they're going to knock that down. But the students have been here for a while and they're ready to go home for Christmas. And I walked Chloe across the campus there. And she got a lot of attention from the students. I asked this one, I said, hey, you miss your dog at home, don't you? Oh my God, my dog. You can attach those things. Yeah. So relaxing. Just grinding away in the basement. Yeah, getting close here. Yeah, just giving it about 25 thousandths cross feet at a time. That's about a half thousandths depth going there. Just kind of trying for a little bit of a finish that I can get on this cast iron type material. And it's looking better than expected, to tell you the truth. Okay, I think I'm totally off it. Okay. Yeah. You see it. Okay, I will be back. I will set up the surface plate here. Okay, got it off the grinder and on the granite surface plate with I got a Starrett 254 18-inch height gauge with a 10th reading Ames dial indicator on it, and I can measure height very accurately using that device, setting it with a Brown and Sharp height set. Reads directly in 10,000ths of an inch. For that close-up stuff, you know. This is all old stuff, but it's still usable. Okay, let's see where we are with this. Make sure that's on 0. I'll bring it up to 0. And I'm going to slide the parallel here. Pulling it back. I have about 1/10,000th, maybe a 2/10,000th dip on that one. And actually, I don't think anything's wrong. I think that was caused from me getting it a little bit hot. Because this grinder has been consistently on something like this better than 10,000ths of an inch. It's like I bumped it. Okay. We'll slide this one through. This one here is better. It's within up to 2/10,000ths to it. That one end it dips. And I had them oriented. This was pointing to the right. But I think the problem, if there is one, is just that a little bit of heat expansion got me here. See, we'll move it like that. Got a little bit on that edge, a little rise. Okay, so these are within 2/10,000ths of an inch. And it'd be quite easy to scrape these in at this point. But they're plenty good enough now to use on the milling machine. But like I said, they're an odd size. 0.926, I think. Depends on how you measure it, or how it's ringing in. See, it's not showing that dip so much now. Interesting. At any rate, the grinder will grind 8 inches within 2/10ths. But I think it would do it better than a 10th if I had fluid running over this. And I'll show eventually the setup I have for that. Okay, have a good day. I thought I'd show you what my grinder's doing. I think it's healthy. I don't think I need to do anything to it except use it and observe it. 2/10,000ths on this one. See, See, it's reading a little high on this end. A little bit of a dip in the middle, and I was having that problem at the hotter these got. So if I went a little slower, I'd probably get it within a tenth. Like I said, I'm used to using flood coolant to keep the part cool. 2/10,000ths. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, what do you think?